Today we're turning this system into this system. But first we've got to disassemble this. And before we even do that, we need to turn it off so that I don't kill myself and we go back to grid. This is a great reason to have some sort of fallback. You definitely need a generator. If you don't have a generator, you absolutely must have the grid, because there are times in life where your system's gonna go down and you can't use it. So I always recommend having grid backup if possible. And if not, well, there we go. So I'm gonna turn this system off. I'm gonna go back to the grid by pulling my transfer switch up here, and then we're gonna get going. And we're back. I turned off the 3 breakers that are going to the load panel. Those are all coming through here, and they're being powered by these load breakers here. So now at this point, I can turn those off. I also need to turn off the EPS, which is on the sides. So these are no longer outputting anything. And then I'm also going to turn off the batteries. And I'm also going to just go ahead and flip the power off button. So these guys are fully shut down, ready to pull them off the wall. The problem that I'm having is I'm already too close to this. Now I can get in here, I can do what I need to do, but according to code, this is way too close. I'm still going to be too close at the end of the day. Also, I should say, I'm replacing these 3 6000 XPs with 2 12,000 XPs, which is going to increase my capacity and lower my inverter footprint. The problem is they're a little bit wider, and they're supposed to have 20 inches or 19.5 inches in between each inverter. So I can't put the 2 side by side right here. I could put them over here, one on this side, one on this side, but that's going to put it even closer to this one. But I still think that's my best option. So what I'm going to do is actually slide all of these batteries over a little bit. I'm going to lower the gap between these two and between these two, or I'm going to make the gap smaller. Basically taking out this piece of conduit here and butt them together. I still need to be able to access the breaker on the side and the BMS switch, which, speaking of that, let's go ahead and turn these off so we don't have any problems. And let's turn off the breakers. Right now, the load goes and lands on this panel right here, and it lands on a 40 amp breaker for each and every one of these guys. So I've got 3 40 amp breakers. However, when I switch over to the 12,000 XP, I actually need a 100 amp breaker. So they're $100 at Lowe's, which is where I prefer to get my things, but $100 for a breaker that I could buy for $40 on Amazon. When I'm buying 4 of them, I decided to go with Amazon. So I will be getting those. They're supposed to be delivered today. If they're not, then I'm going to be in trouble because I'm going to be paying a lot of money for electricity today. So these 40 amp breakers here, which I need to turn these off as well so I don't shock myself. These 40 amp breakers and these 40 amp breakers are going to get replaced with 100 amps. I ended up buying 3 spools of number 3 THHN. I got them in red, black, and white so that I can very easily see which one is which. We don't have to worry about taping up the ends of them, which is code compliant at this wire gauge, But whenever we look in the box here, and we're going to go ahead and do this, when we look inside, they need to be taped and color coded every time you see the wire. And I did not do that on this one. So you look in here and it's just a sea of black wires. And that's confusing. And it's not up to code. And I would just rather do it the easy way. Also, while we're talking about wiring, once again, I could go to Lowe's or Home Depot. I don't know who that person is. I can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and I could purchase them for, golly, wires out of this world. The copper THHN number 3 was $3.85 a foot, I believe it is. I went on Wiring Your Way. I think that's what it is. I'll put links in the description. Not affiliated, not sponsored, nothing like that. But I got it for I think $260 something a foot. So it shipped. I think I purchased it Friday. Nope, Monday. I purchased it Monday. Today's Thursday, and it showed up last night. And because it's Wiring Your Way, I was able to get the lengths I needed and the colors that I wanted at no extra charge. So that's kind of cool. I'm thinking about something, so I'm standing still so I can have a good jump cut. And now I'm just thinking about standing still so I can have a good jump cut, and I have no idea where I was going. Well, dang it. That's it. So let's go ahead and pull these guys off the wall. I guess before I even do that, see, this is me just thinking it through as I'm doing it. I'm going to go ahead and pull off all of this. I guess the next thing I'm going to do is pull off these covers, disconnect the wiring, and then pull it all out. Now I'm going to go ahead and test for AC voltage because I don't want to kill myself. That would be bad. So I'm checking here. 0 volts, 0 volts, 0 volts, 0 volts, 0 volts, 0 volts. And let's check for DC voltage just to double check. And that's actually showing 54 volts. So that's off. That's off. I think what it is, that's showing 53 volts. And that's showing 53 volts. So I think what's going on is that Editor Eric coming from the future. I'm going to skip this part where I run down trying to figure out just where those stray volts were coming from. It'll all make sense in a minute, but just remember, always trust your multimeter, assuming your multimeter is functioning properly, which this one was, because there's a reason you're seeing voltage. And I should have been wearing my safety glasses. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to grab my tool bag. And we're going to start disconnecting stuff. In fact, I'm going to put my gloves on as well. These aren't going to be a huge amount of protection, but they are some amount of protection. Let's get the panels open. I'm going to go ahead and show you inside here. Don't judge me. But, see, I've got all of my labels here. So we've got inverter 1, L2, and that's for the load. Inverter 1, L1, load, so on and so forth. Over here, I've got, and the sticker's coming off, inverter 1, 2, 3. And I got the L1, L2, and those are for grids. So I do have everything marked. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and pull out all of the AC wiring. Here I'm just loosening up every single one of these terminals. Just start pulling all these out. That feels wrong. Now I'm going to disconnect them up here on the panels, and then I'm going to pull them all through. But I got to make sure they're not slapping around, touching stuff over here. The smartest thing to do is to go ahead and kill power to this panel momentarily while we pull these things out of here. That way I don't just accidentally land something on a bus bar. So power's going off. And now that I can kind of see with this window here. I've been carrying around this, oh, so much better. There we go. Yeah. All right, where did I put my, all right, now I got all my neutrals. I'm gonna do the other one. You don't have to sit here and watch me. So y'all tell me what you think I should do with all this. They're all cut into, 12-foot sections or smaller. I don't know, it's one of those things where like the old me, the real me wants to wrap up every one of them or just stuff them all into a trash bag, really, and then hold on to them for never. I was trying to figure out what this 50 amp breaker was here, because I'm like, we only have these loads here. It goes to my hot tub. So likewise, these grounds and neutral, or this ground and neutral, go to the hot tub as well. So they need to go back in there. Although hot tub is a side quest that is taking more time and money than I care to admit. It's been really bugging me trying to figure out why the heck I still have 52 volts on these guys. And I'm really, really, really glad I thought it through. This is one of those like moments where I'm like, Eric, you're an idiot, but I'm glad I remembered it. So I've got my additional batteries over here off to the side. So once I turn those off, then where's my multimeter? Over here. Then we should no longer have 48 volts, or 52 volts rather. 0 volts. Man, I'm really glad I remembered to do that, because that could have been devastating if I had just let those do their thing. All right, I'm gonna flip off those batteries as well. I did trip the breaker, so they're not gonna get here, but actually I can pull this as well. Now it's completely disconnected. Always check your voltage and just trust it. Zero volts. Now we can safely disconnect the batteries. Dang it. So I remember when I built this thing, I had to put this on the wall and then build the box around it, because I needed to anchor the back side, which is right down here, to this Unistrut. So I gotta take the box apart. I'm hoping that I could just pull the back panel off. Oh man, what a pain. I want to make sure that I don't lose pieces. The handles don't really help you at all. So now I need to basically bring up, hopefully it doesn't fall here. I need to raise this strut. And I don't think I need one down at the bottom. I think I just simply need it at the top. So luckily I was able to get to it without having to completely redo the whole thing. Although, yep, I forgot about that. I cannot The way that I built this, I've got these screws in here, and so I can't raise this up where I need it without removing these nuts. That's nuts. If you're new to the EG4 products, they always come with these great cardboard cutouts that tell you exactly what you need. Speaking of products, if you want a discount on anything that you see back here or any of the gear from Signature Solar, be sure to use my affiliate links. I'm going to put a QR code here and links in the description. That's my last and only shameless plug for this video. Do me a favor, do yourself a favor, appreciate it. Now, back to the video. So this one's going to need to come up just a little bit. And let me make sure. Yeah, good news. Well, shoot. This side over here is going to have to be reconfigured. Got to get these guys out of the way. While this Unistrut is super configurable, I'm glad I put it up. It's not as simple as I would like. If I had the deeper stuff, it would be better. All right, I finally got this stuff squared away enough to where I think I can get this up here. And the goal basically to get it to where this sits on top of the box, and then that one sits right there. So that's pretty much where I want it. I'm gonna tighten it up just a little bit so it doesn't move. And then double check things. I think that's it. Yeah, that looks good. Gap still looks good. All right. So now this is going to get up here, and it's going to basically bolt on, and then the 12,000 will hang on it. But before I do that, I need to squeeze that one over there, move this one, just scoot all of the batteries down a little bit. I scooted this one over just, I don't know, the amount of the threads on this conduit. Yes, that's a kitten because it's super hot outside and it's in here with me. And so I'm going to move this one over about that far, which means I get to move this one over about that far. Those are precise measurements. This far and that far. These batteries are crazy heavy, so I found that I can rock it over just a bit. Just a little bit at a time. Alright. It's a lot easier than trying to pick it up. There we go. Alright, so I got this one up here, and I'm going to start tightening it down a little bit. Set this up on top of the battery, and then lined it up best I could right there. It might end up being off a little bit. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to put this on here so I don't bump it with my elbow. I'm realizing that I do not have the correct box. This is obviously the box for the 6000 XP, and I'm really hoping that this plate will work. I feel like I actually had one of the 12,000s somewhere. I think I got rid of it at some point. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and try to lift this thing up. It's gonna take all my effort, I'm going to make a bunch of weird noises, so bear with me. This thing's heavy. Also realizing that I probably need to put a piece of strut behind this because there's a little piece that's going to want to rest onto it. But we'll see how it goes. Whew, I don't want to flip this thing. Maybe I just need to set it on it first. Just get it up there. Then stand up. There we go. All right. Well, it's on there. I don't know if we have a little more space than we previously had. In fact, if I take off, yeah, still not up to code. So you can see how none of the holes really line up. I can cut that one out. I'm gonna have to take it off. I have to cut that one, cut that one. Probably should cut them all. It's a bummer. Okay, I actually found it. Here's the 12,000 version. And the 6,000 has a little hole cut out like this. The 12,000 has this entire back piece cut out. So I guess I need to just cut out an awful lot more of it. Okay, there we go. So you can see the difference there. I essentially just need to cut out this area, which I think I'll be able to do with a grinding wheel. So I'm gonna go do that and be back. Okay, there we go. Same overall cutout. One of them is a little more jagged than the other, but I tried to smooth it out with the grinding wheel as best I could, and hopefully that will keep it from getting, I don't know, cutting any wires. But I think it should be out of the way, so I'm going to slide it in here, see where we're at with it. Put this back. Perfect. All right, I think once we get the clips in there, it's going to be great. Swap out the original one for the 12,000. And I'm glad I didn't throw that thing away. How do I secure the bottom of it? I think I'm going to need to get another piece of strut and run it back under here. This cat is annoying. Super cute though. All right, so I added this one in right here, which is just a lower bar that I've got that angle bracket over here, keeping that side in place. Looks like this. Super simple. And it goes into 2 screws on the side here. And then, since I only have 2 of them right now, I pulled these out of that box for the new one, the V2. And I'm going to put one on this one, and I'm going to put the other one on this one. It'll at least keep this from sliding around and then allowing this to get offset, which is the thing that I'm most concerned about. I've also gone ahead and added these in here. I've got the washers and washers and bolts and stuff over here. We need to get the template up. Take a look and make sure. I mean, I guess that's good enough. Kind of have it. I might put this one over on this side. It really doesn't matter. That ain't going nowhere. I need more space in here. Man, I'm just out of room. Oh, nice. In the V2, they actually included a paper manual. For a while there, I'm telling you, all the manufacturers were like, yeah, just download it online. Hated that. Man, I hated that so much. So I don't even have a manual for the V1. While we're talking about the V2, I want to mention that Signature Solar did send that one out to me to partner on this video. So thanks a lot for that. I don't just partner with Signature Solar because they occasionally will send me some free gear, but because honestly, their customer service is the best. And if you're going to purchase your stuff through someone, you may as well partner with someone that has a massive support team and that's based right here in Texas and can get you stuff really quick and high quality, and they always stand behind it. Thanks a lot, Signature Solar, for this video, and let's get back to the build. So when you get out of the box, you definitely want to pull these guys out before you stick it on. I mean, I suppose, you know what, these will come out just fine once it's on there. So it'll be our, what? What do you need? What do you need? Like turn into an Average Joe episode. He comes out all the time. So don't think he's just like stuck in a kennel. Just the family's gone right now, so that's where he's at. The reason I took him out before is because I didn't know where the holes were going to line up. Of course, then we went through the whole process of cutting out the whole darn thing. Oh man, let's do this. Here's what the back of it looks like. Yep. It's interesting, the air filters are on the left, but they're on the right on the 6000s. And on. There. All right. Lift with your back. All right. All right. All right. I do like that this one doesn't have the 3 screws on the bottom like the 6000. You could never, I mean, it's not that you couldn't ever get to them, it's just I never did. So I just leave them out. I forgot they went to this like levered PV connection. That's different. So we got our battery. That's exactly the same. Looks like our dry contacts are the same. Our battery columns and our parallel look the same. Other than that is a white plug and this is a black plug. We got our 2 different breakers, those are good. Then our, so it's a smart load and load. Smart load and load. And then the gen and the grid are the same. PV. Everything looks pretty much the same other than these. Please refer to the user manual for cable, conductor size, temperature, and torque. All right. Oh, and if you're wondering why I've got these, probably aren't wondering. I couldn't care less. When I disconnected this, I was in a hurry, so I just cut them off. So that's why we see conductors just like sticking out. This was over at my brother-in-law's house, or at his property, just keeping his shed going. Which is probably, almost certainly going to be where the 6000s go. So we'll do an install on those over there with some budget batteries. Subscribe for more. Okay, we don't need these right now. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these out. This is a lot easier. Good news and bad news. I'm back from Lowe's. I went to go pick up these bushings, or whatever they're called, because I don't have enough. They don't sell them, or anything anywhere close to them. But I did go ahead and get these guys, which they need to go in here with, I say need to, it's one of those things that makes me go, is that piece of plastic really that much sharper than this piece of plastic? Well, apparently it is. Or at least that's what you guys in the comments say. So, bought a whole bunch of these. I am tired of paying 20 cents a kilowatt hours, so you're going to see me, assuming I am able to get this done anytime soon. The Unplugged live stream event happens in, we go live in 40 minutes. So I've got about 10 minutes before I've got to jump on start getting things ready. In the meantime, oops, I'll just kick some stuff around. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to put these on here so I can start running the wires through here from the batteries. And then that'll also allow me to start running the AC wires. Because what I did not, like, while I don't mind undoing these and pushing them through some bushings, I absolutely do not want to have to reroute it through the entire conduit. That just sounds terrible. I'm sure for some of you guys, watching me do projects is painful. It's kind of painful for me. Shoot. But I'm learning, and I'm making mistakes so you don't have to. I did just get my breakers in from Amazon. This big old beautiful box of 100 amp Eaton breakers. So that came in. Neat. All right, I found this 3/4 inch knockout bushing, which I think is going to be too small. Actually, that's perfect. So the 3/4 inch knockout bushing is exactly what I need for that. The 1/2 inch is going to be too small. In the meantime, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run this ground up here. So this ground connects, it goes over here to the back of this cabinet, and so it connects the box to the battery to the inverter, and the inverter is also bonded it's rather loose anyway, but it is bonded to the strut. We'll probably do a dedicated one there. I don't know. So because of the 6000 XP setup, I had lugs on the ends of two of the conductors. So I went ahead and just removed this guy here and then just put the lugs right on where the screw came off. So I don't see why you couldn't do that, but you may want to check with the manufacturer to be sure. Since we're using 2-aught cable, we've got to use 2 conductors. If we were using 4-aught, we could just get away with 1. And again, I'll come back and torque it to spec. Haha, no, that's Adam. Stop recording.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us for another Thursday night Unplug Live. I've got with me one of my co-hosts, Eric.
It's day 79 of this project. I don't remember where we're at. Just kidding, it's actually just day 2. But, well, sorta. I mean, day 2 of having it all tore apart. We've got all these guys connected, so the battery's connected on this one. We'll connect the battery on this one. We'll connect the batteries together. So then we'll drink more coffee. Where are we at on this? Connect the batteries together, then we'll connect the communications together so the batteries are talking. Then we're going to go ahead and run the AC wires. I think that's the plan. I'm so tired. So just like with this one, I'm going to go ahead and take off these lug things. And you know I'm not throwing these away. I'm going to hold on to them for something. Let me finish up wiring the DC side, at least the batteries. And also I went ahead and rerouted these guys down here. So we've got this battery, positive and negative, coming through here, connecting, and then this one's coming back to here. I'm thinking ideally, if I could get this to reach all the way through and go to the center battery, that would probably be best. But I don't know that I have enough length on what I've already got set up. So for now, this is what we'll do. I got all the battery cables connected. I've got the ground connected between each of the batteries. I even connected this ground right here over here to the Unistrut so that it is permanently tied in. It already had continuity just due to the case being secured to it, but I wanted to go ahead and make sure that it was good there. And then I ran this ground lug over here, up here into this ground bar. So the next thing I'm going to do is run the battery communication cable. This is my V1, or this is my master battery, but this is my V1 inverter, and this is obviously V2. So I think I want this one to be the master inverter. I should have put it there, blah, 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 I don't know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually run the battery comms from here. Excuse me, I'm gonna run it all the way over. I think this should be just long enough. Let's see how this works. And go through here. And I wanna take it all the way over. Yeah, good, that'll work. And the manual says you can connect either to the RS485 or to the CAN. So I don't remember how I did this in the past. I'm just gonna go into the RS485. And I just have it just like that. So then I need to connect the green ones. I'm going to go from this battery comms on the left, or on the right, and I'm going to go into the battery comms on the left, and then the battery comms on the right, and I'm going to go into the battery comms on the left. I'm curious though, why don't I... Actually, I think I had previously on the 6000 XPs gone into the left battery comms one. I don't know, we'll see. So now what I'm going to do is start the AC wiring, running it through here. I guess at this point I need to start working on these panels. I am going to be working on them live. I don't recommend that. I should turn them off, but I'm not going to. But when I installed, before I got these SPDs from Midnight, I had this Eaton surge protector, which is about half as effective as this one and twice the cost. I don't know if it's twice the cost. It might actually be just as expensive or whatever it is. But as you're supposed to, I put it right here closest to the main lugs, and with as short a pigtail as possible over here to the neutral, which you probably can't see. And when I installed this one, just due to the fact that I had these breakers here already for the 6000 XP loads, I did not move this all the way down, but I knew I was going to be reconfiguring it pretty soon, and many of you guys pointed that out. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this 40 amp right here in place. I'm going to cut these and put them onto this and remove this 30. Actually, I'll probably just leave it there because I don't, whatever. Then I'm going to pull these two 40s out and put 100s there for the 12,000s, and then I'm going to come over here and take two of these 40s out and replace them with hundreds as well. Well, dang. So I had this breaker that I just purchased in here, and I had the L2. It was torqued down to the specific specs, 20 or 45 inch-pounds, and then I started torquing down L1, and I didn't even get close to that. Get off of there. I didn't get close to that, and it started stripping out. So Man. Now I gotta go get another one. I'm gonna take take one of them from the grid side, because I'm not gonna be, I'm really not gonna be pulling 100 amps at any time from the grid side. So I'm gonna put a 40 amp back over here. And I'm not gonna be using 100 amps to over here on the load side either, for that matter. But, and assuming it doesn't follow what the other one did, I want to get it torqued down 45 inch-pounds. So I just got here and I started torquing it down. That breaker is off, by the way. Well, it's in the tripped position. Now it's off. I start going here, and I'm not even close. And then about here, it just stripped out. There it goes. All right. Yeah, I was about half of that whenever it stripped. Okay. So I got, now at this point, I have my load and my grid connected to over here to, there's my grid. And then I need to cut this and connect it to my load. That'll go there. And then I need to do my two neutrals. I've got my ground, and then I'll start working on the other inverter. One thing that'll get you, if straight from the factory, if you stick this in here, go up into the hole, and you try to start tightening, it's already as tight as it can be. So you actually have to loosen it, and then it unclamps or opens up the actual hole, and then you can go into it. I don't know why they do it that way, but there we go. Then I'll come back and retorque. All the AC wiring is now done. We've got L1, L2, L1, L2, both neutrals, and our grounds. Same thing over here. L1, L2, that's going to the load. L1, L2 for grid, coming from the grid, and our two neutrals and our grounds. Everything is bonded together. Here's what this looks like, which is kind of messy. But we've got our L1, L2 up here. These guys are for one of the inverters, second inverter. These are both 100 amps. 100 amp and a 40 amp, because that one stripped out because it was cheap or defective or whatever. I do still need to reconnect this guy here. I was waiting till I was done with these so it wouldn't be in the way. But now it's done, so I need to get that done. At this point, the cabinets are ridiculously full. I do still need to do one more thing, and that is do the parallel cables from both of the units. And I need to make sure the dip switches are in the correct positions.
And I needed to go back and put bushings in all of the holes, so you can see I went back and did that. Found these on Amazon, links in the description.
Oh yeah, and I did go through and torque everything down, so we should be good on that. Let's see, multiple inverters. Just a parallel line. So we've got two parallel ports over here, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Now, it says that only one cable, if you're using 2 units and only 2 units, you just need one cable. If you're using more than that, you've got to do this little hop thing over here, and then you come back around. However, it says right here on 9.2.2 that if you want to, you only have to use one of them. However, 2 of them provides redundancy, because if one cable goes bad or something along those lines or becomes disconnected, the other one will still be there, and it doesn't hurt to have it. So 2 is 1, 1 is none. I got both cables, so I might as well do it. The other thing is both of these need to be in the on position for the DIP switches. So I'm going to go down here and go, let's use this guy. I'm going to pop both of these up, boop, up. And then this one, they should both be up, boop, up, just like that, because they need to be up on the outside, the first and the last, and then everything in the middle needs to be down. We don't have any in the middle, so everything needs to be up. It's pretty simple, straightforward. I'll connect that one. Now imagine it matters if I go from outside to outside or inside to outside or whatever. So luckily these two cables look completely different, and I'm going to go inside to inside. So it's going to be silvers are going to be silver. This one's going to be on the inside. Pop that in like that, and then this one on the outside is going to go in like that. All right. Now I think we're ready to start testing stuff. So it says ensure that the circuits are in the circuit breakers are in the open or off position, and that's what we've got there. That's what we've got there. I do need my multimeter. Also, these are in the off position, off, off, off. That's in the tripped position, so pop it to off. And then the next thing it says is use a multimeter to test your DC voltage and check the, let's see. Check the battery bank voltages within operating range at the DC breaker or the external DC disconnect. I'm going to turn on the breakers so that we don't have any problems there. Turn on the breakers. And now I'm going to, and these are off also. Off, off, and that's off. I'm going to turn on the BMS. And I'm going to turn on the BMS. Turn on the BMS. All right, they're booting up just fine. 53.1 volts. DC volts. Try to set that so you can see it, but I don't know. Ah, scared me to freaking death. I'll just hold it. 53.2. 53.3 and 53.3, so whatever, 53.3. Let's go over here, look at this one. 53.2. Somebody's wrong. But it's close enough. All right. So next thing it says to do. Check the PV voltage, make sure it's within range. I don't have PV in here right now. If utilizing AC input, double check that each hot line to neutral connection supplying power to the inverter to ensure this volter in its operating range. So, I mean, we can do that right now. I guess. No, I don't want to turn on the grid, but yeah, I mean, my house is operating. It's proper. So, upon confirming all voltages are within the operating range, set the inverter battery breaker to the closed or on position. If equipped, set the external battery breakers installed between the battery bank and the inverter to the on position. All right. So once again, everything is off. So even once these boot up, they're not going to like do anything to connect to each other other than maybe talk to each other through the parallel lines. Oh, then it says begin powering on the batteries one at a time. Well, you already told me to check the voltage of the battery, so I did that. Ah, 53.2, 53.3. It switched on me. This one shows no battery voltage, but it has battery voltage. I think this one is set to lead acid. Yeah, battery type lead acid. Oops. And I wonder if this is because this is not plugged into the battery communications, but plugged in. Remember I had told you earlier? Yeah, I'm going to unplug this and I'm going to plug it in over here. Let's see what it does. Now the battery comms is plugged into the battery comms. It shows lithium type Lux. So I wonder if the lithium type needs to change from Lux to EG4. I don't see an EG4 version. It just says standard. All right, let's try moving over from RS485 to CAN. It said it shouldn't matter. Oh, there it is immediately. 80% and 53.2 volts. Okay, so by it doesn't matter, I think it means you absolutely need it to be in the CAN port. So, there's that. This says warning 00. Let's go ahead and continue to walk through it. All right, set the current date and time. All right, so the next thing is to make sure that your voltage is set to 120, 240, or 240, 120 volts, 60 hertz. And then I don't really know on the APL or UPS. I'm gonna just leave it as default APL. And then kind of the biggest thing is that neutral ground connect inner. Make sure that's unchecked if you have your neutral ground bond at your first point of disconnect on your property, which in this case I do. Most people are going to have that, but you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. If you're unsure, do your research, ask somebody who knows. So that was all set correctly. I guess the next thing is to go into the parallel settings. So do I set, I guess I can go down from here. Oops. Into that. Set system type. That says not paralleled. I'm going to go 3-phase, single phase, not parallel. So we're going to do single phase. And battery shared. I don't remember if battery shared. I mean, it's sharing a battery, but I think that's going to be left unchecked. Let me double check. Place the check mark in the battery shared box. Okay, it does say to do that. So then under discharge, you've got to set the discharge current limit. It's set to 250 amps, which is going to be that 12,000 watts for a single unit. But this is going to be the discharge current limit for the entire system. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that over to 500. And that beeping, boy, I tell you what, that goes slow. You can turn off the beep. It was a couple pages back. 490, 500. Okay. And then your battery warning, your SOC, and your battery discharge cutoff. All right, at that point, it says power off all inverters, then power on the master. Once the master inverter is powered up, power on each additional inverter. After all the inverters are powered up, double check each inverter and verify the system type is set to parallel and the battery shared option is selected. Ensure the battery communications cable is properly connected from the master battery to the master inverter. Using the inverter display panel, verify there are no faults or alarms. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, I'm going to go ahead and go into this one and hit parallel. Parallel settings from not paralleled to single phase. All right, I'm going to power them all down. That's going to go off. That's going to go off. Which I should have had those off whenever I brought it up in the first place, but I forgot. And bring this one up. We should see the SOC over here. immediately if everything's working properly. Now it says 80%. And 80%. Nice. And the time is off on that one. The time's off on this one too. Wait, is it? Just kidding. I didn't know what time it was. Wait, no. No, it is. It is off. This one says 2:33, and this one says it is 3:26. You'd think that would follow. But let's check and see if it selected the share battery, because that was something I didn't actually check. And it did. So battery shared, it automatically did that. And it didn't change. This says battery type, lithium, and it's setting 3. That one's lithium standard. So apparently it's not moving over all of the settings. If I go to notice, fault status, no fault, no fault. Let's go to alarms, no alarm, no alarms. All right. Verify the load panel is ready to accept current from the inverter. Set the input breaker at the load panel to the closed or on position. This one, no, I'm leaving that. Set the output breaker on the inverter to the closed or open position. Turn the EPS output switch to the closed or on position. The inverter should now be providing current. All right. I want to leave these closed because, or open rather. I want to leave those open because I do not want power going into this panel while I have it flowing up through there. But as long as those are off, power is not going to get to that. In fact, we can double check that right now by simply going to our AC voltage and checking that there's no voltage here. 0, 0. Why is it showing battery? I feel like this thing's not. Why does that thing show? Oh, it's probably showing that this battery is low. That's fine. But why does it show 1? Yep. All right. Well, multimeter's dead. All right. I'll be back. Oh, actually, I got it right here. Except this is my busted one. Dang. I think. 240 volts. It's actually showing correct. Good. 240 and 0. Okay, so we're good with that. So now let's go ahead and turn on or close the load. Okay. Let's turn on or close the load, which we should still, at this point, we should still be seeing 0 volts. Yes, because the EPS is turned off. So let's go ahead and turn EPS on. Okay. Clicked. It's providing power, 240 volts. 0 volts. So let's flip on EPS for this one. I guess it takes it a second. There's the click, and 240 volts. Now, the important part here is that once, you know, when we check L2 to L2 or red to red, we should not be getting some weird voltage. 0 volts, 0.5. And when we check L1 here to, or L1 to L2, we get our 240. And then black to black is 0. Black to red is 240. Black to the other red is 240. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So that shows us that we're actually paralleled properly, and we're not getting, they're not putting out two independent out of phase signals or whatever. It's not out of phase. All right. The next thing we can do is turn on the grid here to each of these. Flip that on. It showed me that I have 243 volts at 60 hertz present. And now this one's showing me 243 volts, 60 hertz present. So now the next thing to do is switch over, and then we should be good to go. So first thing I'm going to do is tell my wife that the power is about to go out. Go out. I always recommend letting your wife know that the power is about to go out before you just turn it off. And wait for the reply. Okay, there it is. All right. All right. There's that. And then I'm going to turn off this one and this one. Now the grid panel's still hot. You can even see the blue light over here, and we still show that we have power coming independently into each of these. I'm going to give it a second though. I'd say that's long enough. So in this case, we need to turn this on. There we go. And that, there we go. I'm hearing clicks. Stuff's turning back on. And mini splits coming back up. I hear the fan that's outside. I think we're good to go. So I switched everything over. I got back on to where I was using these, and then it got under load, and then this one went out, died. The cat's freaking out. Firmware desperately needed to be updated, which I knew that was going to be the case, but I was hoping it would work without it. So had some issues with the firmware updates. I ended up needing to contact Signature Solar, which, dude, they're so fast whenever you get a hold of them. They immediately were like, oh, I think I see the problem. The update didn't quite finish. I'm like, it shows finished on my end. They're like, well, no, it's not. So let me just push the update manually on our end. So they're doing that right now. I can actually see it shows 85% downloaded on another one. So hopefully as soon as that finishes, it'll spin up, it'll finish the update, and then I'll be good to go. All right, it finished the update. I see all 3 lights on both of them. I do see the 79% over here and the 79% over here. So it looks like everything finished properly. I'm excited about that. Now I need to go through, make some more updates, but man, it looks like it should be good to go. It's weird. I'm not used to these things being quiet. The fans are kind of on, but they're barely on. So at this point, I just need to button everything up, put all the panels on, all that stuff, clean it all up, and then configure it so that I get my free nights from the grid. I'll eventually put some solar panels on here. I've got a lot more to be able to work with instead of the 6,000s that were capped out at 8,000 watts a piece. So this will allow me to get that big solar porch that we're working on to fully maximize it. So I'm excited about that. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out this video right here. YouTube thinks it's best for you. See you on the next one.